Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Nick from Australia, and welcome to the NRL Storm versus Broncos 2025 Grand Final preview and predictions. I hope everybody is doing well for this Tuesday evening. It is September 30, 2025, 5:08 p.m. Hope everyone is doing well. Storm and Broncos, the two best sides of the year, will do battle in the grand final this weekend. It's going to be a big one, man. The Melbourne Storm comes second on the ladder, and the Broncos came fourth. So, once again, very important to finish inside the top four. Going to be absolutely huge on Sunday night to see what happens. But if you're new around here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, guys. Really appreciate it. Like and subscribe to the channel. If you're a new viewer, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're a regular viewer, thank you as always. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Before we go any further, I want to say hello to everybody that is watching in the live chat. We got a nice crowd building up here. Hello to Jason Reader, Luke, Melbourne Storm fan, Josh Sami. We've got Liam Spencer, the Rugby League Therapy Podcast, Rishi, Josh, Riley, everyone tuning in. CJ Moxley says, hello, buddy. Hello to the Bunnies who are not in the finals this year or not playing in September.
That's way too far.
Hang on a second, guys. We got internet lagging a bit. There we go. It's working again. I hope you guys are all well, man. Turning Point, Limo, Australia. Hope you're doing well as well. All right. Let's just get into it, man. So, obviously, the grand final. Sunday night at a cool stadium. 7:30 kickoff. The Melbourne Storm take on the Brisbane Broncos. And it's probably a grand final that not a lot of people would have predicted at the start of the final series. A lot of people were talking about the Raiders. Some were talking about the Panthers doing it again. Some people had Melbourne and Brisbane there, but I don't think a lot of people had these teams playing each other in the grand final. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it goes on Sunday night. And it's the first time since 2017 that there's no New South Wales team in the grand final, which is very interesting. Last time we had an interstate grand final, it was the Storm and the Cowboys in 2017 and the Broncos and Cowboys in 2015. So interesting stat there. Now, we'll go through the team list in a moment, but just quickly, I want to let you guys know the betting odds for the game. So the Melbourne Storm are the favourites to win on Sunday night. They are paying $1.70. The Broncos are at $2.15. So the Broncos are the underdog for the grand final. Melbourne favourites for the grand final, which is quite interesting. Both these teams did have the week off, and they both won on the weekend. So, look, it's interesting. I'm a little bit surprised the Broncos aren't favourites, considering they beat the Raiders in Canberra, who were the minor premiers, and then they beat the Panthers, who were the full-time premiers. And so it's a little bit interesting, but hey, I guess Melbourne probably favourite because of the experience and maybe because they finished higher on the ladder. Not too sure. But having a look at the team list, right? So Melbourne, pretty much the same team as last week, really. Backline is the exact same as usual. I'll go through it in case there's casual viewers that are not familiar with who's who. But Pappenhausen's at fullback. Warbrick and Coates are on the wings. Howliff and Meaney are in the centres. Munster and Hughes are in the halves. Stefano and Josh King in the front row. Harry Grant at hooker. Sean Bloor and Eli Katoa in the second row. Trent Liero at lock forward. And on the bench, Tyron Wishart, Lesatai, Tui Kamikamifa, and Alex McDonald. And for the Broncos, their team list, Reece Walsh at fullback, Karapani and Dean Mariner are on the wings. Katoni Staggs and Shibasaki are in the centers. Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds are the halves. Corey Jensen and Payne Haas are in the front row. Corey Pace at hooker. The second row will Brendan Piakura and Jordan Ricky. Patrick Carrigan returns from suspension at lock. And the bench is Ezra Mann, Kobe Hetherington, Xavier Willison, and Tyson Smoothie. Ben Tolte, a little bit unlucky not to be there. I think Smoothie being picked over him is a very interesting decision. Now, last time these sides met was in round 25, and the Broncos beat the Storm on that occasion, 30 points to 14. And obviously the time before that, the Storm beat the Broncos 22-2. That was the game where Adam Reynolds, Ezra Mann, and Selwyn Cobbo all got injured in the same game, pretty much in the same play. So the Broncos have definitely, I mean, obviously they beat them last time, but if you go back and watch that round 23 game when Melbourne beat them 22-2, for the first 20 minutes, the Broncos were all over Melbourne in that game, and then they lost the 3 stars, and then Melbourne obviously won the game. So, look, both teams pretty much full strength. A lot of players playing with injuries. Jerome Hughes playing with a broken wrist. Who else is injured? There's a few players. Payne Haas is definitely carrying a leg injury, but I'm sure he'll play with injury. Everyone's injured at this time of year. Everyone's carrying some sort of injury, but that's just how it is in finals. That's just how it is. You got to get through it unscathed. Now, look, both these teams have got attack, and both these teams have got really good defense. If you go back and watch the Broncos-Panthers game on Sunday, the Broncos' goal line defense for a long time was really good. They held their own, and they defended so good. It was gutsy defense, and that's the reason why they got through. They held their own. Obviously, they don't want to give up a 14-0 lead again, but that's one thing I think Brisbane needs to definitely work on is they can't give the opposition an early start. They gave Canberra a 16-point lead in the qualifying final. They came back from it. They gave Penrith a 14-0 lead last week at halftime, and Brisbane came back in the second half. If they give a 14, 16-point lead up against the Storm, I don't know if the Storm will let them back in. I just don't think they will. Melbourne are too professional, and they're too clinical for that. So Brisbane need to start the game off well. And if you look at Melbourne, pretty much in all their games so far in the finals, they've started well. They scored the first try against the Bulldogs, and they scored the first try against Cronulla. So Melbourne will need, obviously, to start the game well, but they need to make sure that their defense is good, because the Broncos attack at the moment with Reece Walsh, the way he's playing, the way Payne Haas is destroying the forwards, it's very interesting. Now, a stat that I want to mention that I learned earlier today, the last time the Melbourne Storm played a grand final on October 5th was in 2008, where Manly beat them 40-0 in the grand final. So Melbourne fans might get a bit of PTSD for October 5th. So they'll want to change history there this weekend. Now, let's get to some predictions, man. Like, obviously, it's going to be good. I mean, Stefano's thrown out a few bars this week talking about certain players he wants to run out. Payne Haas responded to him. Reece Walsh had something to say about it. So good to see the players talking a bit of shit and hyping up the game a little bit. I like that, you know. Obviously, it's not personal, but it's good that the players are hyping up the game a little bit. So good stuff, to be honest. But, you know, Melbourne and Brisbane have a lot of history in big games. They played in the 2006 grand final. They played in the 2007 qualifying final where Melbourne beat Brisbane to end the Broncos' chance of going back-to-back. 2008, they had a cracking semi-final where GI scored in the last minute to win the game. That they played in the 2009 preliminary final. They played in the 2017 preliminary final. So Melbourne and Brisbane have played in some big games. Obviously, the 2023 qualifying final. So there's a lot of history between Melbourne and Brisbane in big games. So maybe a bit of a rivalry building up here between the two clubs. But it's going to be a good grand final. And obviously, the 2006 grand final where the Broncos beat the Storm 15-8. So a lot of history between the two clubs. But let's get to some predictions, guys. Here we go. Right. First prediction. First try scorer. First try scorer on Sunday night. I think Melbourne will score first. They just seem to score first all the time. I'm going to say that Xavier Coates will score the first try of the game. I think on the left wing, up against Dean Mariner, I think Munster or Hughes can set up Xavier Coates for a cross-field bomb or a nice set play. And I can see Coates scoring off a bomb in the corner to score the first try. So I'm going to predict Xavier Coates to score the first try in the grand final. For an anytime try scorer, I'm going to go with Katoni Staggs here. I think Katoni Staggs up against Jack Howarth. I think Katoni will fancy his chances on that right edge. Jack Howarth is a very good centre, and he had a good grand final last year against Penrith. But I think Katoni Staggs' form at the moment has been he's been outstanding all year, and especially this final series, he's been very good. So I think Katoni Staggs can score a try in the grand final. I really think he will. Now, I'm gonna do the Clive Churchill medal last because I feel like if I do it now, it'll give away my grand final prediction. So here we go. Nick from Australia's official grand final prediction for Melbourne versus Brisbane on Sunday night. I am going to go with a 6-point win. It's going to be, the scoreline is going to be 26 points to 20. And I believe the Brisbane Broncos will win the premiership this Sunday night. I believe it's their time. I believe they are going to take the most of their opportunity. I think they would have learned some lessons from 2023. I know Melbourne were in the grand final last year as well, and Brisbane were in it 2 years ago. But I think the form of Reece Walsh, I think the likes of Payne Haas are I think they're in too good a form. And I think the Broncos will beat the Storm in the grand final on Sunday night. So I'm going to go the Broncos to win 26 points to 20. I think it will be a high-scoring grand final. Now, my prediction for the Clive Churchill medal. The Clive Churchill medal is very unpredictable. But I believe that Melbourne are going to have a tough time trying to contain this bloke. And I think if you're a Melbourne fan and if you're in the Melbourne system, you're probably waking up at 2, 3 a.m. having cold sweats about this guy. I think the Clive Churchill medal goes to Payne Haas. I think Payne Haas is going to be best on ground on Sunday night. I think Payne Haas will be the player of the game. I think he'll win the Clive Churchill medal. So I'm going to go the Broncos to win the grand final, guys. 26 points to 20. I think Melbourne scored the first try through Xavier Coates. I think Katoni Staggs scores any time. Broncos win 26-20. And Payne Haas wins the Clive Churchill medal. It's going to be a cracking grand final. Looking forward to it. May the best team win. But yeah, guys, I think Brisbane win the grand final on Sunday night. Anyway, we will see what happens. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate you all for watching as always, guys. Like and subscribe. See you in the next one. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.